Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 1020, January the 20th, 2020. That's a lot of 20s. Day 1020 on January 20 of 2020. Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and cover the breaking news of the day and look at that dumbass of the week. Very interesting close competition this week. I think you'll be entertained by the results. Okay, so it looks like Mitch McConnell's draft resolution for the impeachment hearings and how that's all going to play out will allow for a motion to dismiss. So the way I heard it explained this morning, or Sunday morning, the way I heard it explained was you'll have the opening argument, that's the Democrats, the prosecution essentially. Then you'll have President Trump's attorneys, which will argue their case. And then I guess there'll be a Q&A, questions, which will be given to John Roberts by the senators. And remember, in an impeachment trial, senators are essentially a jury. And they act like a jury. They look like a jury and act like a jury. So they will produce written questions for Roberts. He will then ask either the prosecution or the defense questions. Then once that's wrapped up, then they'll have like some sort of final arguments or close it, what we generally say is a closing argument. And once that occurs, then that's when they'll decide whether or not they should move forward with witnesses, and that will would require a separate vote. At that time, they can also ask for a motion or a vote on a motion to dismiss. Now, Lindsey Graham is saying at this point that ain't going to happen because he knows the votes aren't there, but I'm not so sure, because we know that there's no statutory crimes. We know that the argument, the case is very weak. Trump's got a very good legal team. Once they have the opening arguments from both sides, they have the Q&A, and then they have the closing arguments. At that point, they have this. They could have a vote to dismiss. Now, I think it's going to be pretty hard. I don't think it's going to be that easy, I should say, for Murkowski, Romney, and Collins to vote for witnesses if the case has already been made that there is no stated statutory crime which would meet the conditions required for removal from office under impeachment. And so I'm not so sure. I think we have to wait until we get the initial part of this out of the way and then see where they stand. And keep in mind, we do have Doug Jones and we have Manchin in West Virginia, and they're going to be under considerable pressure. So, of course, I realize that pressure will be coming from both sides, but they're more interested in the re-elections, and so they're going to be thinking about the pressure coming from their voters in their states. And so I'm not 100% sure that Lindsey Graham is right on this. He probably is, and I don't know that it'll change minds, but I think it's a little too early to outright dismiss the possibility of dismissing after the initial procedures are taken. So I think the jury's out on that. And another thing that's, I think, starting to become quite evident, as we saw Lindsey Graham, we've seen Rand Paul, we've seen Ted Cruz go on TV, even on the liberal networks. Lindsey Graham did that and basically said in no uncertain terms, hey, look, if the Democrats want witnesses, we're going to have them all. They want witnesses? Okay, great. We're going to hear from Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. We'll call Adam Schiff. We're going to call the whistleblower. We're going to call Chalupa. We're going to call, and this thing could turn into an expose of what was going on in Ukraine. The Democrats are doing everything they can to try to cover up what happened in Ukraine. So, once the Democrats realize that they're no longer in control of the process, that Republicans really are, McConnell is, and you got people like Cruz and Paul and Lindsey Graham, who's the head of the Judiciary Committee, and they're talking about, you want witnesses? We're going to have them all. At the same time, the Democrats have 3 primary witnesses that they want. 2 of those witnesses will likely be challenged by the president because he'll claim executive privilege. And that means it will go to court. And that could drag out for months and months. Now, I imagine if it goes to court, they'll try to fast track it because they know it's in the middle of an impeachment trial, so maybe they get it done in weeks. But it's still going to seriously delay the process. And I think the longer it goes on, the more it hurts Democrats. So, and at the end, they may end up losing that fight. What would happen if the Democrats push for witnesses and then they end up losing two of the three key witnesses they want because the court rules against them, and then McConnell goes ahead and lets Trump have all his witnesses, and then you end up getting the Bidens, you end up getting Schiff, the whistleblower, Chalupa, and all these other people. I mean, I think that the risks on the Democratic side are really high right now, and they don't control the ball anymore. McConnell does. So it's, if I was advising Democrats, I would tell them to take the L. Take the L, have it get over with fast. You had your day, you had your moment, you got your impeachment. Take your L, let this thing be dismissed. Give Manchin and whoever Democrats need to the ability to vote for dismissal and end it as quickly as possible. That would be my advice to Democrats. Now, I would like to see it go that way too. But if in fact it's going to go to witnesses, and it does turn out that they are going to fight for the witnesses that Trump wants, and they're able to do that, then I would just as soon have the witnesses. So, I mean, I can play it either way. But I think there's some real possibilities for this thing to go very, very badly out of control against the Democrats if they push the witness issue. And again, once you've heard the opening arguments, remember, these senators are sitting in here like a jury. And if the House doesn't make their case, and if they don't point out two statutory crimes, you really can't remove the president from office. Well, you could on a purely political impeachment vote, but I mean, this is setting a precedent. It's got a lot of problems. Let's put it that way. So I'm not going to rule out the possibility that even Democrats may be advised at some point as they see where this thing is going, realizing how weak their case is. They may at some point get there and go, yeah, maybe the best thing to do is just to cut our losses, take the L, and get out of this thing. And so I'd say there's about a 15 or 20, maybe 25% chance that will occur. But I think it's probably looking more likely like there will be witnesses. And if that's the case, and Cruz and Graham and Paul are true in what they say, that they believe that they will get the president's witnesses, then let's go ahead and roll with it. And I guess the way I see it here is we can't really lose. Trump's not going to be removed from office. He's going to be in some way or another acquitted or dismissed. Those are two things that are absolutely going to happen. And then that only leaves the witnesses. And I think if you have witnesses, I think Trump still wins. I think if you don't have witnesses, he wins. I mean, I just don't see how the Democrats win here. I really don't. I think the only winning they possibly could have had would be up to this point. But now that it's with the Senate, their winning days are over. And to be quite honest with you, if you want to consider winning what has happened since they began the impeachment process, Trump would like a lot more of that type of winning, because during the time period that the Democrats supposedly had control of this thing and were supposedly winning, they were suffering the bad optics, not Trump. He was raising tons of money, and his approval numbers have gone up. So I don't see how the Democrats have won anything, and they only stand to lose even more. The best thing they could do is take the L and shut it down. That would be the best thing that they could do. I don't think that they're smart enough to do that. I think they're blinded by their hatred for the president, and therefore I think their anger will lead them into continuing to make colossal mistakes. And this trend, I think, is just going to continue up through 2020 and possibly beyond. But hopefully, they lose control of the House of Representatives in 2020, and therefore they're pretty much neutered. But it's going to be a very interesting next 2 weeks. And I assume about 2 weeks from now, most of the initial stuff will be over. And 2 weeks from now, we'll know what's going to happen with witnesses or no witnesses. Okay, so now the infighting in the Democratic Party, and especially within the field of Democrats run for president, is continuing to notch itself up a couple of notches. Obviously, you've got the Bernie Sanders Elizabeth Warren feud, but now you have Joe Biden joining in the feud, and again he steps on it in his attempt to jump in the fray, because you have Biden coming out yesterday attacking Bernie, saying that Bernie doctored a video that he's running, using an ad, using this video of Joe Biden talking about cutting Social Security. So Joe Biden is out there giving a little town hall with about 25 people there, and he says that Bernie's team doctored the video. But I watched a YouTube video where they show the video that's being used, and then they show the actual original video, and I don't see where there's been any doctoring of the video. It looks like exactly what Joe Biden, said that he would, consider cutting Social Security. And of course, that's never a popular position to take. But once you take it, you better have a good reason for how you're going to explain it. And you better not waffle on it and back off, especially if you're on video saying it. And this is the case here. So Biden, of course, will get total cover. The mainstream corporate media is not going to show the original video and the video in the ad and take Biden to task over this and say, well, you're claiming he doctored the video, but I mean, whether you think he doctored the video or not, you're pretty much on record on video. We're not doctoring the video. Look at it. You're saying that you would cut Social Security. So, I mean, I'm not really sure. Biden is not qualified to do verbal battle with anybody in the field, let alone Trump, but anybody in the Democratic field. He just doesn't have the stuff upstairs to be even in the game, even against someone like Bernie or Warren. And they're not brilliant people by any stretch. But he's just so badly outmatched by everybody. But again, here we have Biden now joining Warren, attacking Bernie. And of course, Bernie is going to be stuck in the Senate along with Warren and Klobuchar for the next 3 weeks. So Biden is going to be able to run out pretty much for the next 3 weeks through Iowa and New Hampshire saying whatever he wants to say. And Bernie won't be around to say anything about it. Now, obviously, their campaigns are still out there, and they'll be having people there watching what Biden and others say, and they'll be trying to counter it, but it really needs to come from the candidate himself. And so there's no question about it that having this trial does benefit Biden. He's getting a couple weeks where he can kind of run free and wild and make all the gaffes he can make, and he's probably not going to be called out on any of them because the media certainly isn't going to call him out. So anyway, it's a circular firing squad. This is going to continue, and it's going to get worse and worse, and it's all going to come to a head at the convention. However it turns out, you are going to see a real spectacle, a real display at the convention. The progressives are dead set. Either their guy gets nominated or they're going to burn the whole effing thing down. They're going to turn the convention into a shit show. They're going to act up. They're going to... this is all going to be happening within the family, you see. And this will all be on TV because the conventions are televised. So, I mean, this is going to be just... you can see it coming. It's like, it's like a train crash, a train wreck coming 50 miles. You're 50 miles down the track and you know it's coming. So, I'm really looking forward to the Democratic convention. I mean, that's definitely get some popcorn, get some beer, bring your friends over, pass around a few whatevers. Watch it, have a good time, because I mean, it's going to be actual entertainment for those of us conservatives, libertarians, and such. So you can just see this thing shaping up, and you have the progressives that support Bernie, basically saying, I mean, they're not laying in the weeds, laying low, being stealthy about this. They're basically openly saying if Bernie gets cheated. They're going to act up. And believe me, if he doesn't get the nomination, they're going to say he was cheated. I mean, that's the de facto position that they're in. Bernie gets the nomination or he was cheated. That's it. There's no Bernie lost fairly issue here at all. It's either Bernie gets a nomination or he was cheated. And if he was cheated, they are going to make a hell of a mess of the situation there at the convention. They are definitely going to act up and show their asses, and you can take that to the bank. It's going to be wonderful. Entertainment, I should say. Let's see. Kind of an interesting movement that's sort of happening now. You're hearing a lot of people talk about it. We see this from time to time in general elections like this, and it was kind of sparked by Hugh Hewitt, who I'm not a big fan of Hugh Hewitt. He's kind of a neocon, but Hugh Hewitt was on he's on Meet the Press. He's on Meet the Press, which is the NBC show, and he says that he is going to because they have the open primary state where he lives. I think that's Virginia, actually, or California, one of the two. I'm not sure, because I think he lives both places. I'm not sure where his actual residence is, but I think he does have I think he's from California, but I think he also has a home in Virginia because he's a D.C. guy. I'm not sure where Hewitt's at these days, but he says wherever he's at that he can go register for one day as a Democrat and vote in the primary, and he said he's going to vote for Bernie in the primary, and then he'll turn around and vote for Trump in the general election. And this is something that happens a lot. There is a particular movement going out there now to make sure that Trump runs against Bernie. So if you're in the state and you're able to do this, and it's an open primary, you can go vote for Bernie in your primary. The Republicans have no primary, so you're just going to be voting in a Democratic primary. You can vote for Bernie, and then in the general election, you can vote for Trump. and thereby try to ensure that Trump runs against Bernie. Now, I would love to see a Trump versus Bernie election. I think that would be very good. I mean, that's really putting it right on the table. That is capitalism versus communism. Let's have the debate. I think Trump would win 42, 43 states. I think he would collect well over 400 points in the Electoral College. I think it would be a massive blowout. I think he'll beat Biden pretty handily, but not the way he would beat Bernie. He would beat Bernie and would be an embarrassment, really. It would be something really spectacular. And then you always have the outside chance that you're going to have the rotten Reverend Clinton. And I think that she would fare about as well as Biden. They're kind of about the same. Both would lose. So, yes, if you are in an open primary state, remember, you can go vote in the primary. You can vote for Bernie and then go vote for Trump in the general. Because what would be more fun than a Bernie versus Trump 2020 campaign? That would be absolutely outstanding, and I could definitely enjoy that as well. We also have the infighting now working its way into the left-wing media. They are now targeting and attacking each other. We have openly, not just behind the scenes whispering, but actually on the actual programming on their station. We had MSNBC come out and do an entire segment with that one nut, forget his name, Lawrence O'Donnell, and I think he had Mad Cow and Chris Matthews. And they essentially did a whole segment where they were just ripping CNN, saying that CNN allows pro-Trump people. I don't really see pro-Trump people on CNN. I guess they invite them on, but they treat them very unfairly, and they holler at them, cut them off, don't let them finish their points, hit them with all sorts of incorrect suppositions that are not really questions, or they're given like questions, but they're supposing something that's not true. And then they try to force you to respond to a talking point that's not true, and by the time you debunk it, they cut you off and they don't let you actually answer any questions. So it's kind of a game that they play at CNN. I wouldn't by any chance stretch say that CNN is in any way, shape, or form fair to Trump. But here you have MSNBC actually going out and having an entire segment on one of their shows to attack CNN for allowing Republican viewpoints or pro-Trump people on CNN, whereas on MSNBC they're saying, hey, we just don't even tolerate it here. We don't allow any pro-Trump talk. There is no pro-Trump talk here. It's all anti-Trump all the time. I mean, this is extraordinary that they would have a segment like this. You got to wonder what the people are thinking who are watching this on MSNBC. I mean, here you have the people you're watching telling you straight up that they only do negative coverage. They only give you one side of it. Now, the average person is smart enough to know that even if you don't like Trump, that there's two sides to every story, and that everything he does can't possibly be wrong, especially when you're living in a world around you where you see people doing well financially. Their 401ks have gone way up since Trump's been president. People are getting raises. They're getting better jobs. Things are generally pretty good in the country. We're pretty much at peace for all practical purposes. There's... it's just, I think it's very difficult if you're just a normal person and you just happen to watch MSNBC and you see a couple commentators saying, hey, we don't do any pro-Trump stuff at all. We don't have pro-Trump people on. We don't have, that type of thing. So I would think it was a really weird segment to watch. And I just wonder who they were speaking to, but their attempt was to attack CNN. But I think they made themselves look really bad in doing so. But they probably don't care. Romney is down 8 points in Utah since all this impeachment began. So this is again why I say I'm not so sure that Romney, Murkowski, and Collins are going to side with Democrats on witnesses or even voting against the option to dismiss. There's a lot of pressure coming from a lot of different directions on these people, and I think we really just have to watch and see. There's still quite a few unknown variables that have not yet played themselves out. So I'm going to keep my powder dry on this. I'm not making any hard predictions as far as what's going to happen, but there's some possibilities that this could go either way. And again, I'm not too concerned about it because I think Trump wins under any scenario. So we'll wait and see. Again, as I mentioned earlier, Ted Cruz on TV yesterday morning saying, oh yeah, if we're going to do witnesses, we're going to do witnesses. That means Trump's going to get the Bidens, he's going to get the whistleblower, he's going to get Schiff, and whoever else he wants. All witnesses or no witnesses. That seems to be Ted Cruz's position. Look forward to beginning talks here in the very near future between the U.S. and the U.K. For a big trade deal coming between the United States and the United Kingdom, which would be fantastic because I can tell you that the EU is going to do everything they can to inflict as much pain on our brothers and sisters across the pond as they possibly can. So as an American, I want to make sure, and Trump's going to make sure, that we do everything that we possibly can to make sure that we provide a really great opportunity for the UK to enter into a trade agreement with the United States that will allow them to really take off and soar and benefit greatly and not have to suffer the abuse that's surely going to be directed toward them from the EU. So I'm looking forward to this trade deal with the UK. I think it's going to be fantastic for Britain and great for the United States as well. Yes, a lot of people are watching what's going on in Virginia. A lot of eyes around the country among the Second Amendment people like myself are going to be watching what's going on in Virginia. It's a tricky situation there. It's a situation that's rife for opportunity for setups, false flags from both government and non-government sources. Soros has probably got his people looking to mix some things up. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential here for things to go wrong. And so I really hope that things just are peaceful tomorrow and the rally goes off well and that nothing bad happens there, no forced errors or anything like that. So obviously a lot of people watching what's going on in Virginia and hoping that all goes down very well. I just want that to kind of go down, get over with, and move on. It's an issue that I think is going to continue to be a battle point, and I think that actually ultimately I think this is going to backfire again on Democrats. It's never a popular position to go hardcore anti-gun in this area of the country. I know Virginia has a lot of blue counties there, but there's still a lot of red in Virginia in the rural areas, in the larger geographical areas. And that's why I think it's an issue that in Virginia is going to capture the attention of people all across the country. It's going to be an issue that while it's taking place in Virginia, it's an issue that's relevant to every state in the country, and a lot of people are paying attention. So I hope it goes well for Gene and all of our friends in Virginia. Cards left up a link in his comment on TowerGate Day 1019. It's a link to a Bill Still video, where at the end of the video he suggests that Bill Binney is telling him that Durham already has 29 sealed indictments. 29 sealed indictments, according to Bill Binney. So if you want to check that out, go to TowerGate Day 1019, scroll down for the comment by Cards. You'll see the link to the YouTube video. Essentially, it's Bill Still's video, which is part 2 of an interview with Bill Binney and a whistleblower. Thank you, Cards, for providing that link and that information. Appreciate that. 29 is about right. As most of you know, I've said 2 to 3 dozen. When I look at the field of players involved, I come up with somewhere between 2 and 3 dozen. 29 would put you right in that mark. Now, I think there'll be more. Now, let's get to Dumbass of the Week. Susan Lowell, she went with Governor Blackface and Jerk and Madam Botox. Lori Holt went with Madam Botox. American Pie went with Jerk, Madam Botox, and Parnes. Jean went with Madam Botox, Governor Blackface, and Chuck the Cuck. Linda Martin, she went with Madam Botox, Schiff, and Parnes. Iowa Stormy Deplorable Bot, he went with the 7 Democrats in the House. The 7 Democrat House managers who will be doing the impeachment. Of course, that includes Schiff and Nadler and the other losers. When you look at those 2 legal teams and you try to compare Trump's team to the House team, doesn't look good for the Dems. Jamie Anzavino is going to go with Parnes, Madam Botox, and the Bug-Eyed Fool. Stage Door Johnny is going to go with Madam Botox. Jeanette Bateman will go with Madam Botox, Governor Blackface, and the House Democrats, as they were marching the impeachment articles. Everybody saw that. To me, that looked like a funeral procession. That's what that looked like. It looked like the Democrats' impeachment march looked like the Baton Death March or like a funeral or something like that. And I'm thinking, yeah, it looks like a funeral. They're marching to a funeral, and I think it's their own funeral. They suicided themselves. Joe Mack's going to go with the Dems. That's always a good shot. Carl Peters, Madam Botox, the Bug-Eyed Fool, and the mainstream media. Thomas McElvey, or McKelvey, however you pronounce that. The entire impeachment crew, who look like the children of the corn. Keith Fellows, Madam Botox, Madam Botox, Pelosi galore. He got them all in there. Madam Botox, Pelosi galore. Well done, Keith. Michael is going to go with the MSM and their silliness and their incompetence and stupidity and pulling out old Lev Parnas, trying to put him on TV to make him look like he's got some sort of inside skinny, or that he's even got some credibility, of which he has none. Yes, they look pretty bad there, Michael. Well done. Michael also is going to go with Pelosi and CNN as his second and third choices. Jonathan Cassidy will go with Mad Cow, Governor Blackface, and Quid Pro Quo Joe. Johnny Fivefinger is going to go, I think he wants to go with Bernie. I don't know if he was voting or just talking about what I was saying about Bernie. But either way, I put you down for Bernie, Johnny. Daniel's going to go with Kyle Jurek. Cards is going to go with Chuck the Cuck Schumer. Dennis Waddell is going to go with Octo Pelosi. Octo Pelosi. I know where you're going. I know where you're going, brother. Peter James is going to go with Pinnacle Neck. Pinnacle Neck. He's going with Schiff. Peter James wants Schiff, Madam Botox, and the MSM. Oregon Outback is going to go with March of the Munchkins. March of the Munchkins. Yes, indeed. Mike G will go with Snow White Pelosi and the Seven Dwarves. Parnes and the Commie News Network. Freddie Schaffer is going to go with Governor Northam. Good old Governor Blackface. One Day Closer to Death is going to go with Schiff/Nadler's Impeachment Walk. Sue Sung is going to go with Parnes, Commie Bernie, and Harry and Meghan. Yeah, Harry and Meghan. Well, they lost the money, I hear. Not just the royal status, but they lost the money, man. They're actually going to have to go out and try to work for a living. They'll probably do like a reality TV show like the Kardashians and probably cash in. That's my guess. I don't think they'll have any problem making money, but it won't be quite like what they've been used to. They actually are going to have to actually work for a living now. So we'll follow that. Mrs. Miggins is going to go with Madam Botox with these pins over these pins. And yes, I saw the pins shaped like bullets, and they had what looked like Nancy Pelosi's signature engraved in gold on them. I was thinking that was just like gold plating, but then I saw in the comment section a couple people saying these pins cost 15 grand each. 15 grand each. If that is the case, Pelosi should be impeached and removed from office. I don't know if they cost 15 grand each, but if that's ridiculous, because that would mean we're talking like $500,000 for some pins, commemorative pins to commemorate an impeachment. That's just low class, and it's bad optics, and even CNN admits that. Michael Vaughn is going to go with Kyle Jurek. Napoleon Smith thinks he and I are dumbasses of the week. You have to read his lengthy comment to get the gist of all that. Let's see. Ricky Ricardo is going to go with Madam Botox. Judy Moore, I think she wants to vote for Bernie. I'm not sure, again, if she was suggesting a vote for Bernie or just making a comment, but I put you down for, right along with Johnny, Judy, I put you down for Bernie. Gidget is going to go with Madam Botox. Gordon is going to go with Madam Botox, the Bug-Eyed Fool, and Governor Blackface. Montag Muller is going to go with the Suckers Who Believe Mad Cow, of which we know there's probably somewhere in the range of about 1 million. Then we have the Democratic debate woman who was asking the question. He's talking about the woman who asked the question of Warren after he asked Sanders, did you tell Warren that a woman can't win? He said no. Then she goes to Warren and says, so what did you think when Bernie told you that a woman can't win? I think everyone saw that, and that looked kind of ridiculous, obviously. And, of course, his third pick is going to be Pelosi and her pins, of which, again, we're told may have costed $15,000 each, shaped like bullets. Not very becoming of a Speaker of the House, but then again, she has no class. Youngblood is going to go with Madam Botox, the Commie News Network, and PMS NBC. I put you down for mainstream media. Okay, let's review the winners of the Dumbass of the Week, and it's pretty interesting this week. First of all, we have Pelosi just absolutely running roughshod over the field, her 4th consecutive week, while she won the 2 previous Dumbass of the Week awards. Then she wins the Dumbass of the Year award. She's starting off 2020 with another strong showing, taking first place easily. She won by 11 votes. The second closest to Pelosi was 11 votes away. So she easily wins again to become this week's Dumbass of the Week. She's on a roll. And coming in second, we have a 2-way tie. We have a 2-way tie between Governor Blackface and the Impeachment March. So the Impeachment March and Governor Blackface will share second place honors. And then we get to third place, honorable mention, and we actually have a 3-way tie. And the 3-way tie is between the Bug-Eyed Fool, Adam Schiff, Mr. Parnes, the liar and soon-to-be convict, and the mainstream media. So Schiff, Parnes, and the mainstream media tying for third place. So there you go. Pelosi, first place, a 2-way tie for second, Blackface and the Impeachment March, and in third place, Schiff, Parnes, and the corporate left-wing lying scumbag legacy media. There you go. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow for more TowerGate. Stay warm, everybody. See you. Bye.